in Europe and whatever time it is in your part of the world, and welcome to the Simverse Sports Car Challenge Season 1, Round 5 at Silverstone. Silverstone is a decently long 5 kilometer circuit located in Silverstone, England. We're using a Grand Prix layout on the Legacy track today, and we are currently in qualifying. The race is going to be once again 45 minutes with the GTEs, GT4s, and MX-5. It's a short field today, 2 GTEs and 1 GT4. So we'll probably be focusing on the GTE battle between Finzo and Apen with very similar lap times that are very tight together, usually separated by no more than a tenth. The temperature today, 22 degrees Celsius, 42% humidity, partly cloudy, and 17 km/h winds. Track temp isn't available. Actually, let's take a look at our track temp. It's 37 degrees Celsius. Alright, let's start to get a look at our lap guide, and we'll take you into our qualifying coverage after that. And, god damn it, how do I get rid of that? There we go. Alright, like I said, time for the lap guide.
Alright, so here's what a lap of Silverstone will look like in the GTE today. Coming down the front straight, we'll have a fast right-hand corner. Very easy to go off track on the exit here, but it's also very important you carry a lot of speed coming out of it, as we have a kind of short straight before we head into a section of S-turns. Last turn here is a pretty tight right-hander, not too tight though. Very important, drivers carry a lot of speed coming down here as now we head on to a pretty long straight. Hard braking zone to judge here, as there's not really any markers that you can use as we come into another fast right-hander. Also important to carry speed out of here through another straight section into a heavy braking zone, into a chicane, going left first and then back to the right. And you kind of have to take this as a double apex corner. And as we come into another straight, and then we'll hit another braking zone, heading into another chicane. There's a bit of a bump on the entrance of into that left-hander. Coming out of there, we now head down a hill into another fast right-hand corner into another difficult braking zone to judge as you come back up the hill. Before coming into a series of tight hairpins. First left, and then we're going back to the right. Important drivers get a lot of speed coming out of here into this next high-speed section as we come into the final corner, a slight right.
And that was your lap guide at Silverstone. Let's take a look at our qualifying coverage. We will now look at the two cars in the GTE field. Here is Benzo in his Porsche 911 GTE RSR. I don't believe anybody has provided a valid time yet. Oh, there we go. We have Apen and his Corvette C8R laying down the top time so far in qualifying, 1:44.232. Pretty quick time from the A4.4 1400i rating driver in his Corvette. He will now be resetting in an attempt to set a better time as Finzo continues around the course in his Porsche, looking to beat that time. 1:44.232. Of course, with such a tight battle in GTE, every position matters, especially in qualifying, where we do award qualifying points, which is worth 1/10 of their in-race counterpart. So if, for example, the finishing first in the race is worth 350 points, you will receive 35 points for taking the pole. battle currently is only the gap in the between the two is currently only 8 points in the standings. Coming into today's event at Silverstone. As long as no other driver shows up, it looks like Echo will have the ability to take the race and just get a win by default, which would put him in contention with both Popcorn and Smiling Troll for the series championship. Next week, we have Laguna Seca with Free Corpse for everybody to enjoy. Followed by the Phoenix Legacy Oval, which is something we're going to try just to see if it works, as it's a relatively flat track. And then the endurance round for the finale at Twin Ring Motegi, as a part of the Motegi Super Weekend and its separate championship within a championship. Enzo pushing hard in his Porsche. Brief lockup. Quite frank, I don't really know much about the circuit in terms of the corner names, so we're just gonna not use them whatsoever and just kind of roll with things, I guess. Kind of see how, if anything, how smooth things are. Track looking good, I guess. I don't know. Porsche's got its headlights on. I guess that counts for something. Not really sure what to say about it, as I believe Finzo now comes to complete the qualifying lap. Hopefully he didn't have any off tracks or anything that would prevent him from having a valid lap time. You see the sheer gap between the GT4 and GTE machinery. About, what is that, 16 seconds. Oh, he is a half a second slower than Apen. That is not ideal. And let's take a look at number 26. Just kind of chills out. We're going to get his pole in category. Bird Pump 385 points for himself. If you're interested in making these car counts a bit better, come race with us. Check us out at Simverse Sports Car Challenge under the iRacing League directory. That will be very excited to have you around. We accept all skill levels and all license levels, with a preference for C-Class or above for GT4 and GTE. However, exceptions can be made if you can show that you can safely race the car in traffic and hold it for about the length of a race. The Miata is open to anybody from rookie on up. And it is a nice spec category where everybody can just have some close racing. Here comes Finzo looking to complete a pass on Echo. Seemingly showing his displeasure. Frustration with the only other car on track besides the Corvette. And I'm going to ask him to blog, or I'm just going to... Hopefully we don't need any sort of full course yellows this race, unlike last race, in which there was plenty of carnage, but there's only 3 cars on track, lots of runoff. Really no chance for the cars to completely block the track. Finzo now very far off the pace, well over half a second in qualifying. Rather in qualifying trim compared to Apen's Corvette. It doesn't look like a Cadillac at all. Continue to prepare for today's event. Well, not even prepare. We're in today's event. What the hell am I even talking about? Anyways, as we continue through qualifying, sitting through, watching people set lap times. If you have any suggestions for other leagues to run and are willing to possibly sponsor them, in order to cover me having to pay for that shit, contact me on Discord at Joe space I space guess space, and what the hell are my numbers? No, fuck off streamer mode. God damn it. I'm a little retarded here. Give me a minute. Can I not send something to myself? God fucking damn it. Okay, well, I guess that's not something that's possible. Oh, hold on. Sorry, 5182 is the numbers, and we'd be more than happy to hear your suggestion. Things are going quite well. In the sports car challenge. We've been having a lot of fun. Oh, fig off for Finzo. Let's take a look at what happened there. Alright, he's driving. He's driving. Oh, gets 2 tires off the track. Seemingly destabilizes his Porsche, but he seems to recover it initially. Goes over the curb, and then that's it. Hard into the wall. Not a fun time. I can tell you that much. So this, no sponsor currently for any of our races in the sports car challenge at the moment. So we're just gonna, no, it's not presented by anybody, I guess. We're just kind of chilling out as 1 minute, about a minute and a half remain in qualifying. A pen of a healthy lead of over half a second over Finzo in terms of qualifying time. Guess that's what you expect, you know, A-class driver versus a C-class driver. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just trying to fill some air here. Let's take a look at the number 6 Porsche 911 GTE. As it continues to run. Oh! Spin! You know, I guess they call him Spinzo for a reason, but geez, 2 in a row. Can you not keep that car pointed in a straight line? Jesus Christ, man. This is just an embarrassment. You know, he goes and wins 2 races in a row, then has 2 spins. Coincidence? I think not. I mean, you might as well work for Ferrari at that point. You know, just spinning over and over again in order to achieve some sort of greater goal, but I don't think there's much of a goal there. Outside of maybe heating up the tires, which I don't think that appears under qualifying scrutiny as he loses time by doing that severely. And another off track.
Make sure you're transmitting on drivers instead of all teams, just to be sure Joey can't hear you unless you're talking right to him.
That is seemingly a bit disastrous. Quite frankly, I think it's not a good qualifying run for him. At least he got a time in, but he's not been able to kind of almost upend that time, you know, go and improve it to a point where he could snag a pole away. And with qualifying over, that's going to be it. Unless he can get out there and set a better time, that's the end of his qualifying run. Looks like Echo's still on track. Will be able to complete one more lap at 2 minutes, about 1 second, about as good as he gets. Oh, no, he's done as well. And that's the end of qualifying. And the session will now advance to the race in the grid. We are rolling start today in the Simverse Sports Car Challenge. We'll bring your qualifying grid up in just a moment. Here we go. Driver's now gridding. And here is your starting grid for today's race. Oh yeah, sure a whole lot going on here. Number 1 on the front row, A-Pen in his Corvette C8R, and then the second car on the grid right next to him, Finzo in his number 6 Porsche 911 RSR GTE machine, followed by Echo, the only GT4 car, and the only car outside of GTE in this race, in his McLaren 570S GT4 will be starting off third behind the two on the only guy in his row. That's it. That's literally your entire starting grid. I wish I had some more for you guys. Hopefully we'll have a better grid during the stock car race tomorrow. And we'll set ourselves back to race mode. Take away the annoying logos. Maybe we'll leave the track map up. Let's take a look. Does it look good? Not really. So we'll leave it off for now. Until it becomes relevant again. Track map. Gone. Here they go. Around the track. On their pace lap. This is fucking boring, man. This is just boring. Boring. Boring pace lap. Boring pace lap. Pace lap. I really have nothing to talk about, to be quite honest. There's no storylines because there's only 2 classes in the race, and only one of the classes has more than 1 car in it. You know, we got a tight battle between Penn and Finzo because reasons. Because Apen got ass blasted by race control in Lime Rock and then didn't make it to the Roval. So it leaves them quite even. Echo's blinking. Not that that matters because there's only 3 cars on track. There's our lovely Porsche pace car just putters around doing a whole lot of nothing. You know, you guys just taking a Sunday drive. At a solid 85. Sorry. I don't know, however many kilometers an hour. I don't keep track of this. You can look at the weather if you really want it, but I'm not going to show you guys that. Because you guys already know the weather if you were here at the beginning. Nice, long pace. Okay, actually, let's use the track map to figure out if we're going to be at the end of this pace lap anytime soon. I don't know why we couldn't do a short pace lap, but iRacing decided they didn't want to deal with that, I guess. Here we go. Only about a bit past halfway around this long pace lap at Silverstone. And we're just gonna get rid of the track map again, because I said so, I guess. So our race continues on in eternal boredom. So our pace lap continues on in eternal boredom. Hopefully we can actually have a decent GTE battle today. That'd be pretty cool. I think that'd be, as the kids put it, dope. Corvette and the Porsche just chilling out behind the pace car. Porsche decides to go lights on, Corvette lights off. So I think we're finally at the end of the pace lap. Thank God. Because it just felt like this one was never going to end. Leader can either start the field or not start the field. It's all his prerogative. I don't know if he'll wait for the green flag or if he'll wait for the pace car to pull off. And it looks like, oh, there he goes. Green flag in the air, and off goes the Corvette. And into turn 1. Whoa, Finzo sends it wide. Interesting first turn for him. Not sure if that's the ideal line here, but no incident point for him. He escapes the off track. As a reminder, after 17 incident points, the driver will have to make a pass through for pit lane every 10 thereafter, and will be disqualified at 50 incidents. Corvette doing its best to keep off the Porsche as the Porsche looks to challenge for the lead. Lap 1. ATVO predicting 25 laps in today's race. At Silverstone. Approximately 1 minute 45 seconds each lap. That looks like it may be pulling it. No, not really. It seems pretty evenly matched at the moment. Porsche driving hard. into the chicane. Almost going off track there, but still keeping it on the pavement. To lose his 2/10 to Apen's Corvette C8R. Porsche still challenging. It's going to do whatever it can to make its way back up to that Corvette. The Porsche much faster through slower corners than the Corvette. And much faster really just in general in corners, with much more downforce, while the Corvette pulls away in high-speed sections, on especially straights, giving an advantage at tracks like Daytona or the Charlotte Roval, where straight line speed matters a lot. Take, for example, our next season's finale at Iowa's road course, with a large oval section. That's a 1x for Finzo for going off track, opening up the gap to almost a 1.5 seconds. However, he attempts to catch it back up, and he looks like he's going to shave a few tenths off. Bringing it now back to only 1 second. That is either the Corvette saving tires, maybe saving fuel, who knows what that idea is, but he just gave up a good chunk of time through that sector. McLaren of Echo, just following back. None, through no fault of his own, just the GT4 cars are nowhere near as fast as the GTE machinery. That looks like he gets a little loose for a second, but not really. Doesn't make much of a difference as he continues to try and put time up on the Porsche of Finzo. Let's maybe go on board, see if we can get a good view from the chasing driver's perspective. As we go to... do we have roll bar in this car? Ah, we do! Oh, that's the pace car. That is not the correct car. Okay, here we go. Here we go as they go to the roll bar camera of Finzo, as he chases down the Corvette, looking to overtake him. As he pushes the car as hard as he can, now within a second. Well within a second now. Almost bring it down to a half. He's going to get a much better run out of that penultimate corner onto the pit straight. Call it a straight. It's more of a semi-ish curve thing. Half a second now. Gap between the leader and second place, GTE. Echo just vibing, doing his own thing, and GT4 with no challengers. Braking once more. The Porsche still challenging the Corvette. Very edge of the tires. Still maintaining about a 1/2 second of gap. They're really stretching out more than 3/4 seconds. Seems to be possibly faster for that chicane complex than he is. Still a 1/2 second gap. Wiggling around a little bit on the straight. Oh, it's a hard send for the Porsche, and he goes off track once more. 3x now. And that opens up a massive gap to nearly 2 seconds due to that off track. And the attempted pass in the grass, however, Finzo is not Dale Earnhardt, that wasn't going to work. The grass is not good for GTE cars, and generally, drivers should try to avoid it when road racing. Back to the TV3 phone camera, because that's seemingly the best option. Finzo heading into the pits. Possibly damage. He has one faster pair for the race. He may be choosing to use it now. We'll update you on the status of that as he loses big, just gigantic amounts of time to the Corvette. This didn't seem like a very good decision to be making this early on in the race unless there was damage to be fixed. Kilometer back now. Finzo. 4 seconds. Corvette just pulling away. Trying to put up as much time as he can on that GTE car. Sorry, that 911 RSR. Now on pit exit, following a 14-second stop. Finzo making the best push he can to try and catch back up, but he is now almost 40 seconds off pace Echo minute 33 behind the GTE leader, Apen, in his Corvette C8R. I'm sorry, minute, not minute 13. It has apparently changed on me. Went up, now back up to a minute. So at a minute 40, 44, minute 45-ish should be when the traffic will start to play a factor. Now, obviously in the GT car, it's always best to catch that traffic in GT4 on the straight. Same with the Miatas. The Miatas aren't very bad in the wide corner where you can just kind of zip past them with your extra downforce, but on the straights it's just the easiest, where it's just pulling around and then just continuing on your normal line. However, in a slow section, oh, and that's a Corvette in the pits. What is going on here? That is very odd. I have to ask some questions in the interviews about that, involving a strategy done by the Corvette. That may be them trying to gain some gas, maybe turn into a two-stop race. Since we're only about 4 laps or so. And that is going to leave Apen in the pits while Finzo continues. But that was a much shorter stop, 6 seconds for the Corvette. We'll see what that nets Finzo in terms of time. Only spent about 29 seconds in the pit lane. So that's going to shrink that gap way up. But is that enough for Finzo to make that up? Seems to be sending it very hard in turn 1. Very different from Apen's more restrained line, where he just keeps it on the pavement. Doesn't really go out onto the curbing all that often. And Williams kind of tries to keep it as under control as he can. Almost 10 minutes in now. Echo doing his thing, I guess. About a little over a minute back. But I'm very curious as to why Apen would do something like that. Well, why would he enter the pits this early on in the race? And I doubt it was a pass-through, because he ended up stopping for about 6 seconds. Whether it be, maybe just getting enough gas to put him over the edge. That's one thing that it could be, but I just don't think that that's the case. Racing continuing on. You're at Silverstone as we near the 10-minute mark of this 45-minute affair. Looks like Finzo may be slowly reeling in that Corvette. It's yet to be seen if that's the case. Maybe the Corvette's looking to save some fuel and make it all the way to the end of the race after just that one stop on lap 4. But who knows? And maybe it was an opportunity to kind of stir up that fuel run after Finzo had a pit for damage. But it really doesn't seem like the Porsche is catching up to the Corvette all that well. It seems he is now losing time. At the 10-minute mark, Finzo 13 seconds back. Minute 03 for Echo in the GT4 class. The only car in GT4 this week at Silverstone. Looks still a perfectly clean race. Zero X's. Finzo's 3. Echo's 2. Another second loss by the Porsche. In spite of that large, that nice battle they had up front. Rather in spite of that, there was a very good battle at the beginning of the race until Finzo caught that damage, forcing him to come into the pit road. Only thing I could really probably close the gap now will be a full course yellow, but that's probably not going to happen. As there's only 3 cars on track, there's no real chance for a wreck big enough to warrant a full course yellow or enough carnage in one lap to do so. Corvette just powering on, doing its own thing. So it looks to complete another lap. 26 laps, the new prediction by ATVO. As long as the race runs clean and runs caution free. An important note for the Phoenix event is because it's on an oval, automatic full course cautions will be on. Although we shouldn't really need to use them that often due to the low speed of the Miata and the higher downforce in both the McLaren, both GT4 and the extremely high downforce in GTE, keeping the car stuck to the road. We'll test it out to see if it works. If it doesn't work, we'll never go back to an oval ever again. And if it does work, I don't know, maybe we'll try another oval in the future. Maybe a flat one, maybe a New Hampshire, a Phoenix of sorts, or something along those lines. Milwaukee Mile, a good candidate. Either way, the Porsche is still losing time to the Corvette. Almost 17 seconds back now. We're just past 13 minutes. Corvette now catching up to the number 26 GT4. And the real place where a collision could occur. The only thing that could really hurt his race would be, for example, receiving a penalty for hitting that car, punting it off track, which I really don't think is going to happen. Number 26 just has to take it easy, and he's got the race down. I highly doubt that he will do anything that would jeopardize that. Well, let's take a look at him, the number 26, as he takes his casual Sunday drive here at Silverstone on the Grand Prix circuit. And Benzo driving his balls off to attempt to catch the Corvette. A long way to go. A lot more than a tenth of a lap. He's going to need a few seconds. He's got to have maybe half a second to lap. Not even. No, that's almost 17 seconds. He's going to need probably a good 3/4 of a second a lap on that Corvette in order to beat him. And then now it's Echo coming into the pits. We're pitting early, or pitting late, and that'll put him 1 lap behind the pace of the, 1 lap behind the Corvette in his GT4 McLaren for Team Penarchy. Here begins his pit stop. Enzo driving his balls off to try and catch Alex. Once again, as I said earlier, but I really don't see that happening. He's had a very difficult day out on track. All stemming from that damage. We will see how this goes. Maybe Finto has something in terms of strategy he may be able to pull, but something tells me he might have just pit a bit too early to get that. Corvette C8R, the number 30, just having a grand old time. Keeping the car together, keeping the car moving. Looking to sneak out a win. Been over a third in to the race. 22:30 will be the halfway point. Be over 16 minutes in, 15 being the 1/3 of the event. About a 10th recovered from by Finzo, but he keeps losing time. You know, it's 1 step forward and 12 steps back. And with the early pit stop, it begs to raise a, it begs the question, maybe this is a 2-stop race for them. Well, that could be possible, and maybe it was that Finzo didn't actually get any damage. Maybe he wanted fuel and tires. That raises the questions that raises a lot of questions for these the fuel strategy and this race and the pit stop strategy. But something just tells me, this isn't going to be a 2-stop race. This whole series is supposed to be 1 stop, except for extra length events, and just wouldn't it make sense to make it a 2-stop race? It's unless you just want to quickly get tires towards the end or just something. Eleven laps in 18 minutes. And the gap just keeps on growing between the 30 and the 6. In GTE. Mad Leg Chaotic, Simverse equal dead, and Chaotic equal sick. It seems that Simverse is dead and Chaotic is ill. Well, I hope he gets better at some point. As I heard COVID-19 kind of sucks. Hopefully he doesn't have COVID. Not a lot of fun. But we shall see. We shall see. Oh wait, what? I don't even know what I'm fucking saying anymore. I'm that bored trying to commentate this race. Because there's nothing going on. You literally have 3 cars on track. Only 2 of them racing each other. And the 2 that are racing each other are 20 seconds apart. And, as nice it would be to be the corrupt guy who can just chuck out a yellow, I'm not going to do that because I know those piss off the drivers. It would just make the broadcast even more boring as we do 3 pace laps around Silverstone as opposed to the 1 snooze fest we had at the beginning. Oh, that's a text wall. I mean, it looks boring. There's 3 people and they're so spread out. I should just join random big races. Yeah, it'd probably be a good idea. I mean, the sports cars are pretty weak today. Field's not all where we would want it to be. We had a few drivers that just had other obligations today or just didn't own the track, and that just is what it is. Next week's a free track, so it should be much better, and the week after that's a free track and it's supposed to be a wacky race on an oval. It requires a lot of downforce, and we'll see how that goes. And then we'll obviously have the big endurance event in Motegi. Maybe we'll have people joining as teams of 2 drivers or more if they can find backups. There's a lot to, I wouldn't say be desired, but there's a lot to probably look forward to in the coming weeks. We know we didn't have Smile and Troll because he's between moving houses this weekend, so we may be lost for the next 2 races tomorrow and Sunday as well. But we're not sure as to how that's going to go. Oh wow, they're turning. Looking forward to Saturday Night Live tomorrow. Not a particularly big Saturday Night Live guy. I mean, they used to be funny like years ago, but jokes really kind of fall flat now, to be quite honest. You know, there's just not as much creativity. Just feels kind of empty, I guess is the way I'd put it. Oh, okay. You know what? If Elon Musk is hosting, I'll probably give it a shot. The only reason I'm mentioning it, yeah. Seems like a good reason to mention it. And that's Echo for brief off track. He brings it back on. We've had a lot of trouble. Just a little 1X next to his name. Looks like Finzo's had too much trouble. Now it's 7X's. We'll take a look in the SDK live monitoring to see what happened. And it seems he had a crash. Let's take a look at what happened here. And what might have caused a collision, which may have damaged his vehicle even more. Spin. Not really hitting anything. And he apparently eventually went into the pits. Awkward to yeah. Finzo gets moving again, maybe replacing his tires. And it didn't seem like, yeah, much of a crash, more so just a lock up and spin. He's sitting in the now coming out of the pits. We'll see how he does acting out the skits. Hopefully he does a good job. And even if he doesn't do a good job, I imagine it'll be entertaining either way. Then again, I don't pay for TV, so I might have to wait a while before I get to see it. Yeah. This race, just not particularly exciting. Is it now a minute 9 off the pace? Almost a lap down. Just continues to basically have a hot lap session here at Silverstone. Bit over halfway in now. Just not a lot going on. You know, now would be a good time for a commercial break if we ever had any commercial clips to use. It wouldn't be a bad idea. You know, try and drum up some sort of entertainment. Because I think commercials would just be more exciting than this farce that we're calling racing. Because the cars are just so far apart on track that it's just, there's just no excitement at all. Now, this may preclude us from choosing, what do we call it? Silverstone for a little while. We may choose something else next season. Because it seemingly isn't worth the $5.99 to a lot of people. Sorry, the $4.95. That sounds like shit. Yeah, probably it's more iRacing sounds kind of crappy. I mean, we can listen to the number 6 for a little bit, I guess. And watch Finzo try and claw his way back. He does have fresh tires, so he may actually gain some time. Bar any it's excluding any fuck-ups. You know, really not banking on him screwing up. I don't think he will really for the rest of the race. That Porsche does sound quite alright. Corvette's not all that exciting in terms of sound. The McLaren usually sounds pretty good. He's really trying his best to catch back up. He's picking up a few tenths, at least here and there. Well, he cannot seem to really afford to lose time to that Corvette any more than he already has. And we'll see if those fresh tires do that for him. You know, try to bring him in a bit, but I just don't see him in the next 20 minutes or so, maybe more, just 24.5 minutes now, making up a minute and 9 seconds. You know, that's going to require some crazy speed or a devastating crash for Apen. That would really hurt him. I mean, it would have to be a lot of damage to really force something like that. You know, where you could actually shrink up the grid, I guess, or really shrink up the gap to a point where they'd actually be racing each other. Now, it's not to say it can't happen, it's just not likely. He does slowly make up the time. You know, 109. 433 now is the gap. setting his new fastest lap of the race of 1:44.638. Driving at the absolute limit of his car to try and just get back to challenging the leader. However, I just don't think that that gap is small enough to where he could actually make up a significant amount of time. Or he actually can rather catch back up, just from fresh tires alone. Given he's got 8-lap newer tires, so that could be a lot. Rather 9-lap newer tires. We shall see. We have the number 26 McLaren, just having a time, I guess. Really, more than anything else, hot lapping the track on his own, looking at collect his points and go home. Not terribly exciting. Another time loss for Finzo after seemingly what might have been a bad corner, resetting all of his progress. The Corvette running off. I think we might switch to TV2 for just something, to spice things up a bit. A new camera angle seems to be a little bit better. Oh, off track for the... Speak of the devil, it's an off track. Or sorry, as I said earlier, mistakes could let Finzo catch back up. That is an off track for the Corvette. The second incident point of the race. Hadn't kept it clean up to this point. As his tires appear to be wearing quite a bit. As he continues to lap the track. It may allow Finzo to recover some time. Not sure how much, but maybe something. Just something tells me there's not all that much going on, really, and that this race may be decided before it's even over. Got a whole lemon in the chest. Not that much, but it's workable. That's Alex now in the pits. Possibly getting tires, or maybe repairing. We'll see. As Finzo continues to challenge and attempt to catch back up. Recover as much as he possibly can. Alex now stop in his pit stall, making his stop. You can see him there. And Finzo now realizing the leader is in the pits, as he was most likely told by his, spotter, pushing that car as hard as he can. Alex already out of the pits. And Finzo now catching up to traffic. Number 26 GT4 machine. 26 is staying well out of his way. And we will now see what the gap is following the pit stop of that Corvette. That is... Oh, wow, that's a good chunk recovered. And it looks like about 34 seconds recovered by the Porsche during that time. That is very good. Only 4 laps on his tires as opposed to the fresh ones of the Corvette. Let's see if he can keep making up some sort of time. This would only really be possible if another mistake from the Corvette that he could ever actually catch back up. But now, he one big mistake or one more pit stop, and that puts him right on track to make that a battle again. Finzo locking up. Not exactly ideal. Well, both 10-second stops the last time for both Finzo and Apen. So that probably means that Apen and Finzo just went for fuel and no tires. Sorry, for tires and no fuel. I had that one wrong. So that probably means that first stop in the race was for just enough gas to make it to the end. And bring it home. ATVO still predicting 26 laps on lap 18 right now. With the predicted 26. Let's bring up onto your screen the the pitch strategy showing the stint length of each driver. And that was 4 for Apen and 3 for Shinzo, then a 12-second stint for Apen. And now he's currently on the first lap of his current stint. Finzo's going 3.95 for the same amount of laps. Yeah, it looks like 3.95 and just 7 and 8 for Echo. He's kind of going as far as he can before going and getting his pit. Echo now in the pits once more for his third stint in the race. Appears that maybe fuel burn is quite high or tire fall off is very, very high here at the Silverstone circuit. It's looking like he's possibly gaining a little bit of time on Apen as he maybe just be trying to take it easy, avoid any mistakes, avoid giving up any large amounts of time. Everybody's still in the position they started in. And that's your pitch strategy for this race so far. About a minute spent in the lane with a 36-second stop for Echo. Only 3 laps down, but still leading his class. And TV2 does seem quite better. Was that a little bit of trouble for the number 6? No. Maybe, yes. Number 6 pushing as hard as he can. Trying to stay within, screw up distance of the number 30, or just trying to make it so that if, he has to take one more pit stop before the end of this event, he can just sure up that gap. Over Apen definitely having had a cleaner race. 2 incidents to Finzo's 10. And I guess it just comes down to not making mistakes over the course of a race and just keeping it together, rather than making mistakes that end up hurting the car over the long term and really taking you out of contention. As the event continues through. Whopping 1 lemon in the chest. 1 lemon. Well, hopefully we'll have some more views for the Simverse Stock Car Championship. Sorry, Simverse Stock Car Series tomorrow. In the Legacy Xfinity machinery for 300 kilometers at, what do you call it? Shit. 300 kilometers at the Charlotte Speedway. It's quad oval. If it's maybe getting, at best a 10th a lap, but they seem to be just kind of even in terms of pace at the moment. I'm going to try and somehow catch up to Apen in the next 10 minutes as the race starts to draw towards a close. Sure everything's all good for our race tomorrow. be 125 laps at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. May budget a little extra time into that session, to be quite honest, just to make sure we don't, we actually go the advertised distance, so you don't want to lose out on the ability to complete the race. Still our view is short. And so 35 seconds flat back. We made up about a half a second on A-Pen. That'll be about right, I believe. Comparing the two last lap times. But I just don't think that'll be enough to catch him before the end of this race. For one, I am very, very excited about our penultimate round at Twin Ring Motegi. I think that's an awesome track. A lot of passing opportunities. Short enough to where you could actually have a good amount of traffic, like 3 miles or so in length. We could have a lot of fun there. Silverstone may not be somewhere we come back, especially if we have short fields next season. Of course, we'll do a lot of work trying to recruit drivers for the Simverse Sports Car Challenge, and obviously our 2 oval leagues as well. Very important to try and get more drivers out in our field and fill things out of it. Really have a lot of fun. Be sure to look out for those events during week 13. As our seasons actually do line up with all the iRacing seasons in order to make sure nobody gets, we don't have any regrets about content drops mid-season, things like that. Oh, hey, that was a good make-up for time by Finzo. Now only 33 seconds out. Driving his rear end off. Not sure what might have slowed down the number 30, but definitely not great to have that going on for him. And he seemingly loses the time once more. Unless it may have been an off track, and it appears to have been in the event logger. But either way, Benzo's trying to creep in on that Corvette. Let's take a look at him and how he's doing with 11 incidents so far this race. 9 laps on his tires, 3 more than A-Pen, and the number 30 Corvette. You know that 6 wants to win. The points battle is tight. Only separated by 8 points at the moment. He doesn't want that gap to extend. It's already extended out a bit. Well, Chaotic, I agree with the idea. Trust me, it's an integrity issue on parts of, creating a fair competition. If all the drivers come on here and they say, I want a full course yellow, I really have nothing to do besides say, okay, fine, since all 3 of you want it, I'll give you a full course yellow. But at this point in the game, with the full course yellow lap times being around 3 minutes and 5 minutes left in the race, you're just going to ruin the race by having everybody sit behind the pace car until the race is over. And it seems that Alex has put up the time back up on Finzo, as Finzo's tires in there wearing out more. Major collision or emergency pit stop, really the only thing to make it close. Yeah, see, there's only 5 minutes for that. Never mind. Yeah, I get you. We might actually have a during the Motegi race for the 45-minute mark, a full course yellow to catch everybody back up, give everybody a chance to We may not let them pit, but you know, group things back up, give people a break. We'll do a poll about that before the race goes up, and see if we actually need a competition caution or people would rather just run it and continue to run green for the challenge of that. Now, in a race like that, Finzo may have enough time with the right strategy, especially in terms of tires, to catch back up to Alex. But in this 45-minute sprint event, that's just not going to happen. Alex passing the GT4 McLaren of Echo. Passed him flawlessly on the straightaway. Comes the Corvette through the penultimate turn of lap 24, bring it towards the amazing lap 25. Oh boy. It should be the last lap of the... No car. Oh, Echo having a little bit of trouble maybe? Not really. He seems just fine. Never mind. And so pushing as hard as he can, having seemingly lost about 2 seconds and then had another incident point. Minute 10 left on lap 25. Soon to be coming to the white flag to end this race. Finzo, another incident. Plenty of off tracks for him. His tires now 4 laps older than the Porsche. Sorry, than the Corvette. Not a lot of grip. 12 laps in. Almost 40 seconds ahead now. The Corvette, and now we are on the white flag lap. The final lap, white flag is in the air. 2, 1, and that's time. This is the last lap of today's race. Lap 26. Making ATVO's prediction correct. Good job for that computer. Number 30 Corvette continuing on. We will also have a look at bring the fuel strategy back onto the screen for a second. You know, just out of kind of curiosity as to what people ran in terms of stints. He's a Finzo, only 3 laps in, 1 in the pits. That probably was what killed him. And Alex just took advantage of that extra gap to get fresh tires just because he did 12 laps. Will now make it 10 laps on this stint. Echo following a predictable pattern, 7, 8, and probably 7 to finish it. And that's our pit strategy. Coming to the checkered. 40 seconds up. Here comes the Corvette. And that is going to be today's race at Silverstone. As Barney waves the checkered flag. That is over. We'll now look at our... Oh, there goes the Porsche right in front of the GT4 leader. Comes snag up second in the GTE champion, the GTE class. Getting 14 laps on this set of tires. And that's Apen. Probably about to celebrate here at Silverstone. Enzo. A tough race. Burn getting it in second. Probably glad there isn't anybody else on track in his class. And Echo looking to snag another win this season in GT4. Congratulations to him. Comes to 30. Gonna bring his car back around the track for a celebration. Echo seemingly maybe hasn't done that. We'll see what he... No, he's just waiting there. Yeah, celebrating on his own, I think. No, he didn't feel like going all the way back around again for another minute and 45 seconds. Bit of a parade lap for him. Echo. I don't know, maybe he's trying to do some sort of burnout. I'm really not sure what his game plan is here. We shall see. Finzo just parked out in the middle of nowhere, possibly sulking, thinking about his life's decisions as a racer. We are not quite sure. Alex keeping it clean. Probably the most important thing he could have done this race. You know, that really, I think, is what solidified that. No mistakes, good strategy, and that's what wins you one of these one of these sports car races. That is the most important thing you could do. And there he goes to do his burnout. You know, peeling out a little bit, and then slamming it down into the grass. Good job for the Corvette, and great job for the McLaren. Congratulations to both of them on their wins. So congratulations to them all. We'll begin interviews in just a moment.
I mean,
Broadcast booth to Apen. You copy?
yeah, hello. I do.
Take us through your race. I mean, just seemed flawless, you know, perfect runs, no screw-ups, perfect strategy.
Yeah, it worked out pretty well. I had a couple of mistakes, went off track, I think twice. At the beginning, it was interesting. Benzo accidentally underfueled. He forgot to switch back to his race fuel. So he had to jump into the pits, and I told him I'd follow him in, and so I did.
Oh, so we thought that in the booth was you said he can advantage him going into the pits to go quickly snag some tires and just keep going.
No, I was just trying to keep us a bit closer than if he had to pit and I didn't.
Gotcha. It's an unfortunate start for him, but that's a cures your points lead for this race, but still a tight battle. How are you feeling going in, 5 rounds into the championship? How are you feeling about your chances with only 3 weeks to go?
I'm feeling pretty good right now. Next week's definitely going to be interesting. I believe we're at Laguna Seca, so I think Finza will have a bit of an advantage there. So it'll definitely be close after that week.
How do you feel possibly about, that round at the Phoenix Oval? Who do you think really would have what do you think is going to do better? High downforce in the Porsche or the Corvette straight line speed?
The two cars are going to be right on top of each other throughout that whole race. Because the corners, there's a lot of them that were very tight ones at Phoenix, but the straights are pretty short, so that kind of gives the Corvette an advantage there.
Okay, thank you very much for your input. Congratulations on your win, and we'll move on to our GT4 winner. Broadcast booth to Echo, do you copy? You hear us?
Yo.
Congratulations on your win by default. A win nonetheless. How did you feel about today's relatively boring race?
It was a super boring race, and I'll take the free win, but I'd rather take like second place on a fully packed, grid, because that was just fucking awful.
Well, with an extra 385 points to your name, We'll take a look at this just real quick. Let me see the calculation. That brings you within 18 points of the GT4 lead. How do you feel about that going into next week?
Yeah, that definitely. I'll definitely take the points. That's good. It's gonna add more of pressure into troll and popcorn. So we'll see how that will go.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your input. Congratulations on your win. We will see you in a while. Our last interview for today. Second in the GT4 field, Benzo. Pinning on lap 3. What's the strategy there?
Long story short, I started the race with qualifying fuel.
I assume somebody's going to be fired at the end of the day.
It was partly because of an incident qualifying, but obviously I've got to take the blame myself. Basically, I didn't put enough fuel in. Basically, during qualifying, I had an incident where I had 1 lap of fuel left, and Echo didn't get out of the way. So I ended up messing up that lap, and I put the fuel down in the setup menu, and then I forgot to put it back up again before the beginning of the race. The whole race I was fuel saving. Obviously, I had to dive into the pits at lap 3. Obviously not ideal. I just put fuel in and tried to take it as long as I could, but then I took a second stop and just bombed it after that.
Okay.
Still finished about 30 seconds behind with 0.2 laps of fuel, but
Definitely
yeah,
not ideal.
Not an ideal race. Hopefully I can do better tomorrow, but it is what it is.
I mean, now with the points gap extended to 73, how do you feel with 3 weeks left in the season? Yeah, about your championship chances?
Obviously, if another incident happens where one of us has to miss a race, ideally Alex, or if he gets destroyed in a race, which obviously would be a bad thing to happen, but a good point in the championship. Basically, I'm just hoping something happens that I can capitalise on, because at this point, if races go on how they are, I'm not going to be able to win.
I see. Yeah, were you able to actually set a qualifying lap? It didn't seem like you got any of your points for qualifying.
Yeah, I managed to get 1 in, but it wasn't a very good lap, and it was that 1 lap which was going to be good. I was 5 tenths up where Echo didn't get out of the way.
I see, because normally you would get 355 points, but it seemed you only get 320, so it may have disqualified that lap.
Might have done.
All right, well,
anyway.
We're sorry to hear about your issues earlier today's race. Hopefully you can bring it back for the next 3 and rally to take home a championship in GT. Thank you for showing up today.
Thank you.
And that will bring to a close today's broadcast. Thank you for showing up for today's race at Silverstone. 3 races left in the season. Next week, Laguna Seca. The week after that, Phoenix's oval layout. And then finally, a 90-minute race at Twin Ring Motegi to end the season. Thank you everyone for coming, and we're very excited to keep going with the Simverse Sports Car Challenge season. Tomorrow is the stock cars for 125 laps, 300 kilometers at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And on Sunday at noon Eastern, 12:40 is the beginning of qualifying, will be the Charlotte Legends Oval for 150 grueling laps on their quarter-mile flat track. It's like Bowman Gray, but with no walls. Thank you everyone for coming, and we will see you all tomorrow for our next broadcast.